Welcome, Scream Demons, to the Screams in the Basement podcast with Sam and Casey.
This is a horror podcast in which two horror fans discuss all things horror, including news, recent watches, horror collectables, and more.
I am one of your hosts. I'm Casey.
And I'm Santa Claus. And let's get screaming.
Well,
that was so stupid.
That was on brand for our podcast.
Yep.
Totally on brand. And we're doing it because we are talking Santa Claus movies. Tim Allen's Santa Claus 1, 2, 3,
God.
The Escape Clause, and that Disney Plus TV show. All on today's episode of Screams from the Basement.
That's the real horror show.
Tim Allen's
Allen
post-home improvement career.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we're not talking about that. We're not talking about the Holly Jolly Saint Nick. We're talking about the gross food crumbs falling out of his white beard. Well, some blood instead of milk falls out of his mouth. We're talking evil Santa Claus tonight.
Yeah. We're talking like kill you with an axe while teenagers next door are,
eating milk
sexing
and
each other.
Oh, or that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're talking 1980s Christmas classic, Christmas Evil, aka FKA. You better watch out. Or
It's a better title.
It is. There's another movie that has that. Well, we can talk about that maybe years down the road. Anyway, the other Santa Claus that is killing today is Christmas, Bloody Christmas, from last Christmas, the Shudder original film. So we're talking Christmas Evil from 1980 and Christmas, Bloody Christmas from 2022. Two of the top tier killer Santa Claus movies.
Hell yeah. Spanning 42 years of killer Santa tradition.
Sam, before we get to that, though, we have a jam-packed Christmas-themed episode. We have our mood lighting set. I have mine set to red and green over here. It feels like the evil Santa from Christmas, Bloody Christmas is about to invade my office right now. And I think that's the perfect tone for this podcast. We got a lot to talk about. We have a lot of news on today's episode. The first big piece of screaming mad news. It's probably the most screaming of all the news things we've ever talked about on this show.
Yep.
It's a big one. We're excited to announce that we have we become partners, collaborators. We're affiliates. I think that's the official term we need to use. We are affiliates of Fangoria magazine. What does that mean?
And only.
What does that mean for us here on this podcast? Are you going to see Sam and Casey inside of Fangoria magazine? Not right now. Not yet. Maybe sometime down the road. Are we on the Fangoria podcast network? Not right now. Not yet. But we have something cool to offer you guys out there. We have a discount code via our affiliate link. We have right now, you can use this. I'm going to pop this up on the screen here as we are talking. The first thing we got to shout out, shopfangoria.com. That's the place that you're going to want to go for all of your Fangoria shopping. Hey, I know you all want to buy your own Christmas presents for yourself. I'm not going to ask my parents for a subscription to Fangoria magazine. I'm just going to get it myself. So if you're like me and if you're like Sam, you're going to go to shopfangoria.com/screens from the basement. That is our official affiliates link to shop everything Fangoria. They got the magazine, t-shirts, back issues. They have so many other great goodies over on the Fangoria
They've got
website.
mugs,
Sam,
a bunch of different t-shirts. I got their spring 2021 shirt or whatever, and it was like an alien egg rising up out of and that was the O in Fangoria. Fangoria always has the coolest shit, man.
They're the best. They're the coolest. They're the best. We're happy to take part in that. I'm going to pull this part up. There we go. Yeah, Fangoria as well.
Yeah.
So you can get the entire subscription to Fangoria right now, again, by using shop.fangoria.com/screams in the basement. Sam, what is that discount code they can use, though, to get 20% off?
To get 20% off your order, you can use the discount code Screams from the Basement, all one word. Just Screams from the Basement, 20% off your order at checkout.
Yes. So the great people at Fangoria made it super easy for people out there listening to find us and use our affiliate link. So again, we will plug that again a little bit later on in the show when we get to official plugs for what we got going on. But yeah, we are super excited to partner with Fangoria. You and I alone are going to be using our affiliate link so many times. So this is super cool.
Super cool. Yeah, Fango is obviously something that both you and I hold very dear to our hearts. Yeah, love Fangoria.
And be on the lookout for some cool commercials that we're working on for this affiliation with them.
We have some fun ideas.
We do. All right, Sam, what's next in the Screaming Mad News category?
Perhaps the most contentious we will ever get on this podcast. The first bit of Screaming Mad News comes with a little bit of Ryan Gosling and a little bit of Leigh Whannell, and I lost the thread here. Wolfman casting announcement. Leigh Whannell's Wolfman that is still being executive produced by Ryan Gosling is no longer starring Ryan Gosling.
No.
It is starring Christopher Abbott as the titular werewolf.
Sam, how do you feel about this?
Okay, Casey. I was gonna have like an actual like prepared statement.
Sam's soliloquy on Ryan Gosling.
I really did. I had a whole thing on Ryan Gosling, like watching The Notebook. It was formative. I've never missed a Ryan Gosling movie. I love him. Like, he is one of the actors that will always have my butt in a seat no matter what. I'm very disappointed that we are not getting a Ryan Gosling Wolfman. I think he's perfect for it. He is the perfect amount of, like, he can do the quiet and timid stuff, and then he can go big. That is one of Ryan Gosling's, like, best qualities, is that he does the mild-mannered, reserved stuff very well, while at the same time being an absolute freaking madman. Just watch the SNL sketch where him and Vanessa Bayer are a couple who believe Santa exists. It's hilarious and very disturbing all at once. It's great. It might not be a prepared statement, but God, I'm going long on this. I don't care. Ryan Gosling is like my guy. I was so excited for this. I still am, but I'm like, oh my God, like, we have already had so many Wolfmen that just look like they'd be Wolfmen. And I look at Christopher Abbott and he's a big hairy dude. And I'm just like, of course he's a werewolf. Of course. Like, we don't need another werewolf that looks like Henry Cavill but less chiseled. Like, I don't know. I'm very excited. Christopher Abbott is probably going to make me eat my freaking words because it's Christopher Abbott. He's got a great resume. He's a solid actor. Leigh Whannell is a tremendous director. I have the utmost faith in him. Upgrade and Invisible Man were both, I think, Invisible Man was my favorite movie of 2020. Upgrade was in my top 3, I think, the year it came out. Anything Leigh Whannell does, I'm going to be there for. I'm still really excited for this movie. But, oh God, I'm really disappointed we're not actually getting Ryan Gosling in the title role of this one. And you know what? Apparently, most people don't agree with me from what I am reading. But you know what? That's my soapbox. I planted my feet firmly on it. And yeah, Ryan Gosling rules. I wish he was the Wolfman. I'm still going to watch this and probably put it on my top 10 list next year. So that's my thoughts. What are your thoughts, Casey?
So I don't know if I know Christopher Abbott from anything. Like, when I saw that name, I saw his face like in the headlines and stuff, and I was like, okay, yeah, Sure, why not? I don't think I know him from anything.
And yeah, he's been in a few, like, he's been a minor role in a few things I've seen, but he's worked with a lot of like really big directors and like some high profile movies. So I don't know.
Yeah, and for me, I kind of like it that way, that I don't know him from anything. And I like having an unknown, more of an unknown than Ryan Gosling in this role. And the reason I do, it's not that I hate Ryan Gosling. I like Ryan Gosling. I'm not like gaga over him like most people are. I like Ryan Gosling. My thing is with the Wolfman, especially with Larry Talbot, if I assume that's the route we're still going to go, it's still going to be Larry Talbot, and that's the Wolfman. I like to have him be kind of an everyman, a sympathetic, almost not really anti-hero, but a sympathetic monster, where you feel for the man. Because when I did a binge watch of the Universal Monster movies over the pandemic, and that was the one thing I noticed and really latched onto was the character of Larry Talbot and how relatable he was and how bad I felt every time he had to turn into the Wolfman. And that's something I hope Christopher Abbott brings to the role. And I say that as like, I assume Ryan Gosling probably could have too, but I don't relate to Ryan Gosling at all. He is one of the sexiest men on earth. He has an 8-pack. He's chiseled. He's incredibly good looking. He can sing, he can dance, he can act, he can do comedy, he can do action, he can do it all. He's too good. That's my problem. Ryan Gosling,
but we've never seen him go wolf.
That's fine. I don't need to.
I'm gonna write a werewolf movie for Ryan Gosling if it kills me. I'm gonna see Ryan Gosling turn into a wolf, Casey.
Here's the one thing I have over Ryan Gosling. I have more hair than him, and I want to keep it that way. So that's why I am all for Christopher Abbott playing the Wolfman. He has it all. He has it all. I need this one thing. For me, Sam, I need to have more hair than Ryan Gosling. That's all I'm asking for.
And I need more hairless blondes to be able to play werewolves.
Just watch Twilight then.
None of the hairless blondes in that are the wolves.
I know, but they're hairless.
That is true.
Very hairless.
They're all hairless, but that's because they wax.
I'm sure. All right, Sam, what's next for Screaming Mad News?
Oh my God, the next one, not contentious at all. We're both very much in agreement on this as great news. Orphan 3 is coming, and William Brent Bell is returning as director. Oh my God, what else is there to say? Orphan First Kill is amazing. It was in my top 10 of last year. I'm so excited for another one. Like, give William Brent Bell 100 more of these movies. Yeah. Like,
yeah, we this chat about William Brent Bell has been occupying both our messages to each other and our group chat of how much you and I are William Brent Bell stans. We love the dude. Not all of his movies are perfect.
No.
But all of his movies are very unique and highly entertaining and always deliver on what you want them to be.
Well, except for one.
Well, The Devil Inside delivers on what I expected that movie to be.
Oh God!
Which is that's not a good thing. Anyway, that's obviously his worst film, and I think
it is.
Most other William
I'd
Brent
argue
Bell fans would say
it's his only truly bad film.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna do a whole. We have ideas for William Brent Bell on this podcast. We love the name. So shout out William Brent Bell if you ever want to come on the show and talk about Orphan 3 or your new film or any of your films and your film.
Or Stay Alive, because I love that movie more than Probably Healthy.
Give me a reason to watch Stay Alive. William Brent Bell, please come on and let's talk.
Is that like one of the only ones you haven't seen?
I think it might be the only one.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah. We should do a Stay Alive episode sometime. Because
it's for the William Brent Bell episode, Sam. We gotta save it. We gotta
seminal, Casey. Seminal.
No, we're both obviously very excited. I think both of us had Orphan First Kill, the sequel, prequel. as in our top 10s of last year.
God, it might
I
have
think we
even been
both
in our
loved
top
it.
5s, to be
Yeah,
honest.
it wouldn't surprise me if it was. We love this movie. It was incredible. I think it's Bell's best movie, and I'm excited. I think he works perfectly in the orphan. Like, that type of concept is like built for William Brent Bell. And I know he didn't do the first movie, but it's like built for his type of filmmaking sensibilities.
And it's so goddamn rewatchable too. Like, I think I've watched that movie 4 times since it came out, and it doesn't get old. It's so good.
It's incredible. Speaking of other movies we're excited about coming out next year.
Willem Dafoe is in Nosferatu, and we have our first look.
Look at that madman.
God, I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Willem Dafoe, who is no stranger to the Nosferatu saga. I don't know what else. To the Nosferatu films. He's played Nosferatu in a film.
Yeah.
This time he is playing apparently a crazed vampire hunter. Sign me up every single day for that. That's perfect for Willem Dafoe. The more and more I see from this movie, the more and more I'm excited for it. I was already like over the moon excited for it, but I'm even more so now.
Eggers just works on a different level. He really does. Like, whether or not you like each and every one of his movies, like the worlds that he builds down to like every speck of dirt and every blade of grass is just incredible. Like, no one makes movies like Robert Eggers.
Yeah.
No one. I'm so unbelievably excited that he's taking on this and that he's reteaming with Willem Dafoe. And oh my God, yeah. This comes out next year, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Not the only time. We're going to be talking about this movie a couple more times.
Yeah. It'll probably be, I mean, this time next year, we'll probably be talking about it like it's going to be on our top 10 lists. I'd be willing to wager that this early.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. So, all right. Last bit of movie news, something I think both of us are also very excited about. This has just been an exciting couple of weeks for horror fans, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
The incomparable John Waters is returning to the world of Chucky. He is going to be in the second half of Chucky season 3. As you guys know, I watched the first half of Chucky season 3 as it was airing. I'm going to be doing the same with this. It's one of my favorite TV shows ever. I love it. I'm so excited to see John Waters return to this world. I hope it's a little bit bigger than like a cameo role. A lot of times when they get these big names, it's for like a 1 episode thing, which I'm okay with, but I hope it's not. I hope he's a character in the episode the same way that like, Gina Gershon or like Nia. I'm just gonna butcher her last name, but the My Big Fat Greek Wedding actress. I hope that it's a full episode where John Waters gets a sizable chunk of time to choose scenery and be John Waters. And then I hope he gets another incredible kill scene, because we already know he has one in the much maligned but not deserving of it Seed of Chucky, one of the best of the franchise.
That is not that statement is not endorsed by this podcast. That is only endorsed by one of the co-hosts of this podcast.
It's endorsed by 50% of this podcast.
That's true, and that is a passing grade, or a failing grade. Seed of Chucky aside, I love John Waters. I think he fits perfectly in the world of Chucky. He's probably my favorite part of Seed of Chucky, and to see him come back now as a different character, where in Seed of Chucky he was a paparazzi photographer.
Yeah, he was like a scuzzy paparazzi guy.
Yeah, and started taking pictures of like Chucky whacking it and stuff. And this one he's playing like the creator, the doll manufacturer creator of the Chucky, the good guy doll. And I think that's perfect. I think John Waters fits that mold perfectly. Yeah, I'm a season and a half behind on this TV show. I'll eventually watch it. Just kind of like another show I'll talk about when we talk about what we've been doing on how I watch TV. I'm 3 years behind the present.
That's okay. On most shows, I am too. Chucky is just the one thing that, no matter what, I am just gonna be there. You know,
Mm-hmm.
He's my guy. It's my franchise.
Yep.
Yeah,
I get
I
it.
love
I get
Chucky.
it.
So Casey, on that note, what have you been doing? Because there's also a little bit of news attached to at least one of your doings.
Yeah. I think both of us, we actually have news attached to our doobie doings, and we'll talk about them
Yes.
when we talk about what we've been doing. The
Yeah.
first thing I have on here, I've continued our binge watch of What We Do in the Shadows. Binge watched season 2 like in one night. We're about halfway through season 3 right now. This show is
Mhm.
incredible. I love it so much.
Have you gotten to the Colin Gets a Promotion episode?
Yes,
That's season 2, right?
Yep, in season
It's
2,
like
yeah.
maybe a top 3 episode for me.
Yeah.
I love that one so much.
I mean, I'm the only one catching up on What We Do in the Shadows. We can spoil this, right?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, we're already in like the we're on the 5th season, right?
Yeah, I think we just wrapped the 5th season.
So at the end of season 2 is when in season 2, and then in the end of season 2, we find out Guillermo's related to he's a descendant of Van Helsing, and he becomes a vampire killer in season 2. And season 2 ends with him
with one of the best one-liners in the whole show.
Murdering the entire vampire council. Yeah. It's incredible.
While the core family of vampires is on trial.
Yeah.
And he slaughters everybody to save him. And like, what's the line that Nandor says when all of it's over? He's like standing on a pile of dead bodies, and Nandor's like, Guillermo, we had to do the dishes. What the fuck?
Yeah. Like, just doesn't care that he killed all these vampires.
It was just he disappeared, and they had to do household chores for a
while. Guillermo is the best. I love Guillermo. He might be my favorite character. I love Colin Robinson too. God, they're all incredible though. I love every character in this show. I think they're so fleshed out and all very, very different. And I love the progression of each character is awesome.
Yep. I love it. There's so many different times where a different character will be my favorite for a while, and then it's like, oh, it switches to someone else, and that's just so indicative of a great ensemble show.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that way with ones like Community for me too, where it's like
Parks and Rec.
Yeah, where a different character is your favorite depending on what stretch of episodes you've just recently watched.
Or even singular episodes, like when we got to the Jackie Daytona episode with Laszlo. I'm like, Laszlo's my favorite character now. I love Jackie Daytona.
I really like. I don't like when shows repeat past storylines, but I'd kill for another Jackie Daytona episode.
So I was going to ask that. Do they revisit Jackie Daytona? They should. Maybe in
they haven't from what I've seen. Okay. But I'm only a couple episodes into season 5. I have not kept up with season 5. But Jackie Daytona is like the one thing that I'm like, they could go back to that and I think I'd still find it funny.
Yeah. So with that being said, it was just announced today as we're recording this that What We Do in the Shadows, season 6 will be its last season. So we have one more chance of Jackie Daytona showing up again.
Yep. And personally, I'm okay with this. It's so rare to have a sitcom like Sunny that stays pretty consistent. This far in. And I don't know. To me, it's smarter to throw in the towel while they're still on top. It's just I'd prefer if more sitcoms did that, because you have so many that are like How I Met Your Mother is like maybe the best example, where they just keep going because the demand is there, but then the quality lessens so much that you lose what was great about it. You lose your audience, and it just fizzles out with a thud. And so I don't know. Like, I'm sad to see the show going off. Like, with only 6 seasons, but also if all 6 seasons are as good as what I've seen so far, I'm more than okay with that, you know?
Yeah, I think it's 6 seasons for the size of their seasons too, where they're only 10 episodes, 20, like
Yeah.
23 minutes long.
Yep.
Perfect. I think that's perfect for this show. Like, we don't need this to go on forever. And then you run into the problem of like, hey, they're vampires and they start looking older because the show's been
Right.
on the air for 10 seasons.
Oh my god. You know what I just realized?
What's that?
They did the reverse of Community. They had a movie in 6 seasons.
And no Chevy Chase.
And no Chevy Chase.
Yeah. Who's the winner there then?
What We Do in the Shadows.
What We Do in the Shadows.
Especially because I love Community, but like, I'm gonna approach this movie with caution, dude. It's been so many years. I'm approaching it with so much caution.
Yeah, I am too. And I didn't love the last like 2.5 seasons of Community.
Yeah.
Anyway. What else I've been doing?
Yeah, what else have you been doing?
I have some recent watches, some new release watches that I've just checked out. Both are Shudder films. One is not on Shudder yet. We'll talk about that one in a second. But first off, I finally got around to VHS 85. This has been on my watch list since it came out. I love the VHS series. It's one of my favorites. I've been trying to get you to watch this forever, and I'm going to eventually get you to watch the VHS series.
I've seen 99. I loved 99. Actually, we watched 99 together.
Yeah.
That was the one that ends with the Winters segment, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, God, that one was so good.
Awesome. Yeah, that one's incredible. VHS 85. So this is the next one. So they did 80. Was it? I'm trying to remember the numbers now. 84, 99, and then 85. So this one is the weakest of the latest ones, of the Shudder VHS ones. I don't think it's as strong as those. I think it's probably on par with the first 2 movies. Viral just kind of doesn't exist in this series. It's like the weird stepchild of the VHS franchise. It's just the one that's, I don't know, no one talks about.
Yeah.
Anyway, this one, I think it has one of the best wraparound segments of the entire VHS series. The wraparound segment's directed by David Bruckner, and it's about this like documentary team that has this like scientific experiment that they're watching and doing a documentary on, and it's like a shapeshifter blobbish kind of thing. So basically, like, they're doing a documentary on it, and it ends with like the thing gets out. I'm like, that's perfect. My favorite overall segment, though, I think a lot of people are talking about it's the sorry, I'm trying to pull up the names of them because they don't put them in the movie. I wish they would. They put them at the end of the movie. There's a 2-part segment in this VHS.
Yeah. So I started this one.
Okay.
Like, I've started VHS 85. I watched the first segment that I've heard has a second part later. Yes. I did not like the first part. Like, I thought the first part was terrible. Not terrible, but like, it wasn't what I wanted in VHS segment.
Not at
like
all.
At all. It was like real life violence. And I was just like, I don't need to watch this. Like, this is.
And the second part, it's not like a total follow-up to that first part, though. It's from like the other perspective.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And you understand why that group was attacked. So I'll kind of leave it at.
Okay.
It's interesting more than it is like I liked it. It's more interesting than it is like entertaining, I guess.
Okay. And then I also watched the second segment, which I liked, but I thought it was too long for what it was.
That's the one during like the earthquake, right?
Yeah. I just thought it took too long getting to the payoff.
Exactly. And the payoff felt too much like other VHS segments for me.
Okay. See, and that wasn't something that bothered me because I haven't seen a whole lot.
Yeah.
So I liked the ending. I liked the payoff. I was just like, I feel like it took too long getting here.
My favorite one though is the Scott Derrickson one. It's kind
I've
of the
heard
one
that's good.
I've been looking forward to the most. It's so cool that Shudder got Scott Derrickson to do a segment in a
Yeah.
VHS movie, especially now in his career. Like this feels like if around Sinister time he did a segment, it would have been a no-brainer. He's done Doctor Strange. He had
Yeah.
one of the biggest horror movies last year with The Black Phone. He's
Mhm.
working on that sequel, so it's so cool to have him like just do a little segment. It's my favorite one. It's about like this. It's like shot from like the point of view of a serial killer, but it's all someone's dreams, and like their dreams predict like what like like how the killer kills all these people.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's a very weird segment. You'll like this one. It's a lot of fun.
Okay. I do want to finish it. Like I didn't dislike what I saw. I was at least intrigued and I do want to go back. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. So
yeah, it's fun. You'll like that, at least that one, I think.
Okay.
Next up is a movie, like I said, it's not on Shudder yet. It will be soon. I'm not gonna say too much about it because we'll talk about it in our next episode between you or I.
Yeah.
I finally watched Suitable Flesh, the latest from Joe Lynch, starring Barbara Crampton and Heather Graham. This movie it's great. I liked it a lot. Maybe I won't say it's great. I liked it a lot. I think it's very, very good.
Yeah.
I think I needed a little bit more from it.
Yeah, I can see that. It's so I feel like I like movie. I don't know. I have an affinity for like little scrappy punk rock movies that maybe have bigger ideas than what they're actually reaching for.
Yes.
If that makes any sense. And I feel like this falls into that perfectly. I don't know. Yeah. I totally understand people's like it's a flawed movie, but oh my god, I connected with it so well.
I mean, I still gave it 3.5 stars. I really liked it. It more than likely will end up on my top 10 list of the year. The performances are incredible. I loved everyone in this movie. Heather Graham is great in it.
Yeah.
This is like it's like a sexy 90s erotic thriller.
Yeah.
If like Brian De Palma and Stuart Gordon both directed it.
Yeah.
It's just this complete like love letter to both of those filmmakers. I think a lot of people are talking about Stuart Gordon because it was made for like Stuart was going to direct this at some point, and that's why Barbara's basically held on to it for this long. And yeah, I think Joe Lynch is kind of the perfect guy to do this. I would love to see him do more Stuart Gordon-esque adaptations, more of the Lovecraft type of stuff. I think perfect for that. And I think this won't be the last time we see Barbara and Joe Lynch work together either.
Oh god, no. I feel like they clearly have a lot of love for each other.
Yeah.
I think they both had a blast working on this together, and I would be surprised if this was the last time they collaborated.
Yeah, we'll talk about that more on our best of the year episode. And then my last thing, we both watched Joe Bob's Creepy Christmas over on Shudder.
Yes.
It was this is my favorite thing, my favorite Joe Bob show to watch. The last 2 years we've watched it together, and it's always like my favorite thing to watch because there's something different about it than even just the regular Joe Bob shows. I know they do like the charity auctions. They do the selling of like Joe Bob's merch to raise money for those charities as well. And I think it just has, I don't know, I like that vibe. And I think
I do too.
It feels more communal based that way. And it feels like, oh, I need to watch this live because I need to see what's revealed in that auction. And I need to see, where the bids are at, in between breaks in the movie. And that's something we did. We threw a little movie party to watch it. The first movie was The Brain, movie I'd never heard of before.
Yeah. Neither one of us.
This almost like a Stuart Gordon movie, like a Canadian, right? It was Canadian, right?
Yeah, I think so. It felt very like, it was definitely in that class of like
From
Yuzna and
Beyond,
Gordon
yeah,
and like Cohen, Larry Cohen type of movie.
Yeah. It's not as good as those. It's definitely going for those vibes. It's a fun watch. It's a really fun watch. It's a bad movie. The Brain is a bad movie.
I don't think so. I loved it.
Would never call From Beyond or Reanimator. Oh, it's a bad movie with bad actors in it. And I would never call like Reanimator or From Beyond bad. But The Brain is a bad movie that is highly entertaining to watch. I still gave this movie 3 stars. I had a blast watching it. But I was laughing at it sometimes more than like something like Reanimator where you're laughing with it.
Yeah, okay, that is fair. Yeah. I feel like sometimes though, I have a disconnect with that where like even if I'm laughing at the movie, like I feel like I always just assume it's on purpose. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Even when I'm watching something like The Room where I know like this is not on purpose, I still feel like I'm laughing at it because it's got to be doing this on purpose. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know. It's a weird thing with my brain that makes it makes me give things like The Brain 4 stars. It makes me get, it makes me give The Uninvited, which is about, like the killer cat. It makes me give something like that, like a high rating because it's like, God, it was so bad, but I had so much fun watching it, Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's one of those movies. Yeah, it's one of those movies. I'm so glad we watched with Joe Bob because I had so much more fun. I think than if I would have just like sat at home and been like, "All right, what's The Brain? Let's put this on."
Oh, for sure. There's always something. There's a little bit of a Joe Bob bump that comes with any movie. He like I've watched some real stinkers with Joe Bob that I've given 3 stars, had really fond memories of. Then tried to go back to and went, this is unwatchable without Joe Bob interjecting. Joe Bob breaking it up, yeah. I don't think The Brain is going to be that for me, but
no, it's better than quite a few of Joe Bob's movies that he's previously played. Yeah. I think it's better than the second part. I've seen this movie a bunch. It's the second movie Joe Bob played was the Ginger Dead Man from Full Moon. Yeah. I was just super excited that again he was playing a Full Moon movie and kind of get some behind the scenes on that. Robin Sidney, the star of it, and Charlie Band's brand new wife. Congratulations to the two of them. Yes. Apparently this was shot like right after the wedding too, because they talk about the wedding on the show and the fact that Joe Bob was officiating their wedding.
Oh, wow. So they must have very recently filmed this.
I'd be very curious when they film this. I assume they probably filmed these on like a Monday, Tuesday to air.
On a Friday?
On that Friday.
Yeah.
That's what I would assume.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ginger Dead Man, like this movie, it's not very good.
No. But it's got Gary Busey.
He's the worst part of it. I don't like him in this movie. He's like peak, like, I don't like you, Gary Busey, in this movie. Kayla, as soon as she saw that it was Ginger Dead Man, she was out because she does not like Gary Busey at all. This movie, it's in need of a major upgrade in terms of the quality of the movie. Like the standard definition that this is shot on from 2004 or whatever, 5.
Yeah, but the problem is it was shot on
it's so bad.
It was shot on a Digicam. Like there's no way to upgrade that footage. There's no way to like.
So what we're saying is bring Gary Busey back. Let's refilm all of Ginger Dead Man shot for shot. Bring in Gus Van Sant. He can do it. He's done it before.
Ginger Dead Man, Charlie's version.
Yeah,
Vince Vaughn, the Taylor Swift thing.
if you can't get to Gary Busey to come back because he's like in trouble for stuff now, bring in Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, bring in Vince Vaughn.
Yeah,
Vince Vaughn's not in trouble for anything that I know of.
No.
I don't have to. Trouble. I don't have to destroy my Wedding Crashers Blu-ray yet.
No, not yet. He'll be in trouble when he does Ginger Dead Man 2 because his fans will revolt. But anyway, that's it. That's it for my doobie doing. What about you, Sam? What have you been doobie doing lately?
So after you spoke so highly of it, I did end up going and seeing Godzilla Minus One. It is as good as everybody was saying it is. Holy crap, this movie is like working on a whole different level than a lot of the blockbusters this year. I I don't know. You said it all on the last episode, but this is great. It tugs at the heartstrings. The Godzilla stuff is terrifying. Like you said, most of the Godzilla action actually takes place on the water. The wooden boat attack sequence is maybe the most scared I have been in any movie this year. It was terrifying.
It's terrifying.
I was. Yeah, and he is like, it's so weird. It's one of the very few Godzilla movies. Like, honestly, the only other one I can think of is the 54 one, where you don't want Godzilla to show up.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's a bad thing. Like, you care about the characters and you do not want to see them. And this one does that so beautifully. The post-war story is incredible. I did actually look into the -1 title because I was confused by that. So apparently, after the war, after the bomb hit Hiroshima, they considered that like Tokyo zero. Like they were at ground zero and they were rebuilding from there. So the title is actually like a way of saying like Godzilla is the next thing after the bomb to knock them down even further than zero. And I just, with that, like, I'm like, God, that's such a like emotionally resonant title that's going to be lost on so many people. So I just wanted to share that out on the cast because I thought that was really cool.
We'll talk about that more next episode.
Yeah, we will. Yeah. I shouldn't have gushed about it so much because I literally saved another one for next week or for the next episode. And I almost did the same with this one, but I did want to talk about how I saw it in the theater. It got extended in theaters. It's doing incredible at the box office.
It was top 3 in the box office, I think 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, and it had one of the lowest drops of the year. From weekend 1 to weekend 2, it only dropped 27%, which is incredible, like unheard of. Yeah, it's so cool. And then the -- 1 movie this past weekend was The Boy and the Heron, the latest Miyazaki movie.
Studio Ghibli movie.
Studio Ghibli, yeah. So like we literally had 2 Japanese films in the US top 3 at the box office, which is so cool.
I think that's part of a bigger discussion that maybe we don't need to have on this episode. Maybe we can do it next time on what people are wanting to see in movies anymore, especially with the Marvelization of Hollywood.
Absolutely. Don't you kind of feel a shift?
Yeah.
It really feels like the second half of this year, there has been a major shift.
Mm-hmm. We'll talk about that more next time.
Yeah, we will. We will. I have a couple of kind of horror adjacent ones that I watched that I want to talk about. I finally watched Violent Night. I loved
another killer
movie.
Santa Claus movie.
Yeah, another killer Santa Claus movie. Like Santa Claus as a Nordic warrior, as like an ancient Nordic warrior carrying a giant hammer he calls the Skull Crusher. Like, holy shit, give me 10 more of these movies. I'm a big fan of Tommy Wirkola. I just bought the first Dead Snow on DVD. It's the only one of his movies that I haven't seen. I have seen Dead Snow 2 and everything since. I really love him as a director. I thought his Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters was really fun. I'm surprised it took me a whole year to get to this movie. I'm so glad I did. This will be an every year watch. John Leguizamo is in it. He's one of my favorite character actors. If you're gonna have a villain in this type of movie, there's like no one you can get that's better than him, right? Yeah, like he has one of the best villain deaths I've ever seen in a movie. It's so out of nowhere and just like what? Yeah, I love this one. Marry My Dead Body is a movie I watched recently on Netflix. It is a Chinese film that is part horror, part action, part LGBTQ drama, part comedy, part murder mystery. Like, pick a genre, and this movie is it at some point in its runtime. It's like ADHD the movie. It starts off like a big, like almost Lethal Weapon style action thriller, and then this very homophobic and like sexist cop is given an envelope by a couple of old ladies while he is trying to collect evidence in the park. And essentially, he is told he has to marry a ghost who is a dude, or bad luck will befall upon him. And he like blows it off. And then, in a really humorous scene, like gets annihilated by traffic and a bunch of other horrible things happen. It's really funny. So the setup to this is like he's a homophobic cop. He's basically forced into doing this ceremonial marriage to a very flamboyant male ghost. And the last like 20 minutes turn into a total melodrama that's just like, it's a left turn out of nowhere. You're just like, but it kind of is just like, at that point, the movie's taken so many of those left turns. It's like, what's another one more? I don't know if I like loved this movie or even liked it, but it was one of the most interesting movies I've seen all year. I really applaud it for being just like batshit insane from minute one to the final. And I laughed quite a bit with it, not at it, sometimes at it, but mostly with it. I don't know. It was good. It was really good. I enjoyed it. It's a little long for what it is, but like, yeah, it's a wild ride. You're not going to find another movie like it. So worth a shot. That's Marry My Dead Body on Netflix. Killer title. I don't like.
Yeah, that's a good title.
It's what made me click on it, right? Like, you're like, oh God, what is this? So, and then my last thing that I did, I rewatched Kong Skull Island. The Godzilla versus Kong trailer just has me in a very, and just, you know, obviously Godzilla Minus One. I've been in a big kaiju mood. I've had a kaiju movie on in the background pretty much consistently whenever I've been doing household chores. But I actually did sit down and watch Kong Skull Island for the first time in a while. I think you disagree with me on this. To me, this is the best MonsterVerse movie.
No,
I absolutely
100% the best monster.
Okay.
By a long shot, and I like Godzilla King of the Monsters.
Yeah, I do too. Like I like all of the Godzilla movies. I just don't like them nearly as much as Kong Skull Island. I think this one is the first one, like the only one really that has human characters that I actually care about. Some of them are still on the underwritten and kind of bland side, but like you've got John C. Reilly, John Goodman, Samuel Jackson, like even though a lot of them are given just like archetypes, they're elevating these characters. The Kong like action is incredible. The helicopter sequence where he's taking out all those helicopters is just like some of the coolest monster stuff that we've gotten in a mainstream action movie. And I don't know. Like I love this movie. I kind of wish that they would have kept giving movies to Jordan Vogt Roberts after this one. Just because I really think he killed it. But yeah, Kong Skull Island rules.
It does rule. I've been meaning to go on a like Godzilla binge after Minus One because it's a big blind spot. This was the first Japanese Godzilla movie I had ever seen. It was Minus
really?
One. Yeah. I've never seen the original Godzilla.
Oh, dude, you would love it. If you liked Godzilla Minus One, you would love the 54 one. They feel like
I thought about watching it the night after, or like after we came home from Minus One, and I'm like, I don't know. I've heard it's very similar in tone, so I'm like, I don't think I can handle them back to back. So we put on Godzilla. Some space. We put on Godzilla 2000, which is not that tone at all, and we watched like the first 20 minutes before we went to bed. It was awesome. So I'm excited to go back to it and binge watch some of the other Godzilla movies.
Yeah.
We'll do a Godzilla episode in 2024. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, we will. The 54 Godzilla, it's a very somber movie. And it's like, it tugs at the heartstrings at the end too. It's an emotional movie. It's pretty great.
Same with the 1998 Matthew Broderick film. It's an emotional movie.
God,
Broderick pulls on your heartstrings in that
movie. No lie, I unabashedly. So have I talked about I think I talked about this on the show. How like My parents did not take me to see that in theaters, even though I begged them to. And then I just never got it on VHS. So like it took me like as a kid, that was like the holy grail of like, I am gonna watch that movie someday. And I watched it like a year ago for the first time on VHS. Oh my God, it's a terrible movie, but it was a perfect experience. I loved it so much. And it was 100% just because it was like I'd been waiting for it for 20 years. Like I was gonna love it regardless.
Yeah. We love you, Matthew Broderick. We love
you. We do love you, Matthew Broderick.
All right. Well, that is it for Doobie Doing. Let's get into our killer Santa double feature then. We're going to kick things off. 1980s Christmas Evil. You better watch out. Written, directed by Lewis Jackson. Sam, Christmas Evil. This is about, I mean, this is, I've like been looking stuff up on this movie, and I've seen quite a few reviews on it saying, "Oh, this isn't a horror movie. I don't know why it's on Shudder. I don't know why people would classify this as a horror movie." One, it's 100% a horror movie. It's just it's a character study horror movie, more like Maniac. I wouldn't call Taxi Driver a horror movie, but it's more in that vein than.
I mean, it's the same as like something like a Fade to Black. Right?
Yeah.
Sorry. I stepped on your toes there.
No, you're good. That's I mean, it's a character study that has elements of horror, especially in the final acts of the movie.
Yeah. I mean, cuz it turns into a slasher movie in the third act. Like it's a Santa murdering people with an axe. I don't know how you don't consider that a horror movie. You know, it's the same as something like a Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. Like, you know, you're following an unsavory person doing unsavory things, and it's horrifying. There are a lot of uncomfortable moments in this movie.
Yeah.
It's just an uncomfortable one in general.
The film follows Harry, who's a, I don't know, 40, late 40s, early 50s something year old man who works at a toy shop. He is obsessed with Santa Claus.
He believes he is Santa Claus.
He is Santa Claus, or at least believes that he's like a version of Santa Claus. And this stems from his childhood, where he and his brother saw Santa Claus come down from the chimney and deliver them presents, and he sneaks down later that night to find Santa Claus violating his mother, basically. His dad in costume and his mom.
You know what's crazy, dude?
Yeah.
I just thought of this. We picked 2 killer Santa movies with prominent oral sex scenes.
Yes. This is also a prequel to the Always Sunny Christmas special, because this is the same thing that Charlie Kelly saw there too.
It is. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah, and then the film follows Harry as an adult who, again, like Sam said, believes he's Santa Claus and goes around town trying to spread some Christmas cheer, share presents with the needy, kill off people who make fun of him because he's Santa Claus.
Yep.
Typical Santa things.
Yeah, typical Santa things. If you're Santa and someone doesn't believe in you, you're not going to just put them on the naughty list. You're going to kill them with an axe in front of their loved ones outside of a church.
Yes. You're going to take a toy soldier and stab someone in the eye with it. That's what you're going to do. So, Sam, was this a first time?
So this was a first time watch for me. Yeah. I'd actually picked this up like years ago on Vudu. Like it was before it was on Shudder, or maybe it was on Shudder. I don't know. It was $5 on one of those like weekend sales on Vudu. And I was like, anytime I see a horror movie I'm even mildly interested in for $5 on Vudu, I'll snag it. And so this has been in my library forever, but I'd never hit play on it. So when you were like, we should do Christmas Evil, I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. I've been meaning to check it off. I liked this. I don't know if I loved it, but I liked it quite a bit. It's a much more somber movie than I was expecting. Like it's not cheesy, I don't think. I don't think anything about this movie is cheesy. It's not very campy. Like it's all played pretty serious, and it's anchored by a really compelling lead performance. I really like the lead in this. I forget his name.
Brandon Maggart plays the lead.
Yeah,
Harry Stadling.
yeah,
Yeah, he's great in this
he's
movie.
so good.
Yeah.
So you've seen this before?
Yeah, I've seen this. This is a few years ago, probably right around when it like first came on Shudder that I watched
Okay.
it, and uh, I've watched bits and pieces other times, like when it comes on Shudder TV, and I've caught like bits and pieces of the movie. It just has that vibe of like I want to watch 10 minutes of this movie before I go and pick whatever
Something
movie I'm going to
else.
watch on Shudder. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I just like the vibe of this movie. Like you said, it's somber, but it also gives me that like classic Christmas vibe. This movie does. Black
It's like
Christmas
if It's a
does.
Wonderful Life just ended with Jimmy with Jimmy Stewart being like, "No, I am gonna kill myself."
Yeah,
Like,
I'm gonna kill myself and everyone else in this town too.
yeah.
And yeah, that's the vibe of this movie. It has that like Christmas story, classic Christmas feel to it.
Yeah, yeah. It's weird because it's like a warm and cozy movie while also not
Yes.
being warm and cozy at all.
While being like a dissection of this guy losing his mind and believing he's Santa Claus and killing all the adults in this town.
Yeah, yeah, it's oh god, it's crazy. And even before he starts like killing, there's just this uneasiness to the whole thing because like he's literally keeping tabs on the neighborhood kids,
Mm-hmm.
like which especially in today's day and
Yeah.
age is just like such a like I don't know if this movie like I looked at Maria about halfway through watching this and I was like, I would love to take a crack at remaking this, but I also don't know how you remake this in this day and age with like where we've gone in the past few years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Harry would become instantly creepier than he already is in this movie, and he is pretty
Yeah.
creepy pretty much from the get-go of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Where, like you said, he's using he's on the top of the he's on the roof of his apartment building, looking at the kids who live on the apartment building across the street with binoculars and like spying on each kid, seeing if they're naughty or nice. And he finds like one girl is just playing with her doll.
Yeah.
And like he's like, that's like his favorite. And I'm like,
There's
no,
the
that's
kid with the dirty magazine.
yeah, the kid
the
with
naughty one.
the Penthouse magazine. Who has one of the great lines later on in the movie where Harry asks the kids what they want for Christmas.
He does an annual Penthouse subscription.
An annual Penthouse subscription. Like that kid knows where he's going. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that kid was funny. And then his mom is just like there's the scene where Harry's like literally outside the apartment building hiding in the bushes
Yeah.
and the kid's like trying to tell his mom that there's someone and oh god, it's just yeah, everything involving that kid is just A+ material. Yeah. Really good stuff.
Yeah, like we said though, so I want to get your interpretation on the opening of this movie.
Yeah.
Because and how it connects spoilers for Christmas Evil. We're going to get into spoilers for this movie. So people who have not watched this yet, go watch it on Shudder right now. Yeah. Anyway, the beginning and the end of this movie are the most fantastical parts of this.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about the ending later. But at the beginning, what do you think Harry actually saw? Did Santa Claus, the real Santa Claus, come down his chimney that night, give him and his brother presents, and then go down on his mom? Or was it just his dad in a Santa costume?
So the way I read it was how his young mind interpreted it. I do think it was his dad.
Yeah.
But I think he definitely, like, as a kid, thought it was the real Santa. And they even talk later in the movie, it's revealed that, like, the brother told him, like, oh, Santa's just dad or whatever. And, like, he's trying to say, you know, like, don't blame that on me, all that. But yeah, the way I interpreted it was like he saw Santa, but it was really just his dad. But in his kid mind, he's making those connections and making those leaps in logic to like, oh, Santa just came right out of the chimney, that type of thing, which lends to the dreamlike state. The ending.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. I want to save the ending.
How do you read that?
Yeah, the real life Santa Claus. No, again, it's all his childhood interpretation of it, and that leads into the rest of the movie, especially the relationship he has with his brother. Where his brother right away is like, that's BS. Like, mom and dad give us presents, Santa isn't real, type of thing. And then when they're adults, 40 years later or whatever, the brother still has that like same feelings towards Harry. Of he's a loser, he's the black sheep of the family. Every time he comes over for Christmas or Thanksgiving, we get into an argument over something because the brother can't keep his mouth shut.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the most interesting parts of the movie. I think it's a little underwritten, the brother is.
Yeah, I don't feel like we spend enough time with him.
Yeah, and we don't spend enough time with him, like,
or the wife
wrestling with that fact of like, oh, is my brother a crazy person, or does he just like Santa Claus a lot? Yeah. It's more of like, no, right away it's a crazy person, and then at the end of the movie when it's revealed Harry is this Santa Claus that's been killing people all over town, immediately his brother, is it Peter? Philip,
yeah,
is like, I knew it was you, I knew you did this. And it's like, how did he come to that conclusion so fast?
Yeah, it just,
it's a little too quick.
It feels underdeveloped. And one thing that I don't know if it was intentional or not, but I found it really funny that the casting for both the brother's mom in the intro and then Philip's wife looked remarkably similar. And I don't know if that was kind of, so like, every time the wife is
that they looked like each other. No.
Oh, so like, I mean, I kind of
the mom a brunette?
Like, oh, maybe she is. I don't know. They're just like, I feel like the costuming is similar. Like they're wearing similar slips when they're introduced. The way they're framed, like I feel like, I don't know. I just feel like maybe I'm reading way too much into this, but I felt like both the wife, the way she was framed, and then their mother, the way she was framed in the opening scene, were very similar. Like, and I don't know if that was meant to imply that like Philip also hadn't quite, like he had his own type of like mental problems stemming from that night, or I don't know. Maybe I'm giving this movie too much credit. I have no idea.
How they shoot the staircase is very similar. From Philip's house to the childhood house, it's very similar how they frame that staircase, especially at the end of the movie, where you have the wife on the staircase while the brothers are having their argument. It's pretty much the exact same shot as earlier in the movie, where the two boys are on the stairs with their mom looking at Santa Claus.
Right. And I don't know. I guess I feel like maybe there was a little bit of a like, maybe an edible commentary on it, you know, where it's like the brother hadn't quite moved on from that night either, type of thing. But who knows?
Something in the psyche of both of those boys.
This is why whoever has the rights to this movie should let me remake it, because I'll dive deep into that shit.
Well, here's the interesting thing that this movie doesn't do. And you said this earlier, it's not sleazy and it's not campy. And I think that's where it could, because a lot of these other slasher movies that open with like some sort of like sexual awakening for the young boy, and then now he's the adult and he grows up to be the serial killer, they'll have some sort of sexual element to it, and they never touch on that here.
No, it's almost smart. Like it's like it stays away from that, especially for like Harry.
Yes.
But I feel like the brother character, like, if that had been explored more, there might have been something there.
If how the brother maybe interpreted some of this stuff.
Yeah. But otherwise I agree. Like
Yeah.
it's almost like a Miracle on 34th Street type of thing where it's just like this down on his luck Santa. Who just, in this one, instead of just accidentally whapping a guy with a cane, he intentionally stabs people with an axe.
Yeah. Or toys.
Or toys.
Yeah, so when Harry grows up, he goes and works at a toy factory. And he, on this Christmas, he is promoted to, he's off the assembly line, and he's now promoted to some sort of management position.
Yeah.
And while he's there, one of the line employees at the factory convinces Harry that if he misses working on the line so much, he should take his night shift so he can spend time with his wife. And Harry goes to find out that later that night, after he's off work and has taken this guy's shift, that this guy's hanging out at the bar with some of the other factory workers and saying how much of a schmuck Harry is for believing him and taking his position. And pretty much how no one at that job on the level he used to be at of a line worker respects him now that he's in a higher position, and how much they didn't respect him at all in the first place, just being another one of the factory workers. And that goes into play how he interacts with the other higher ups at this toy company at a Christmas party later on in the movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's again, that's kind of the catalyst for this character of almost his breaking point is two parts here of working on the line, realizing no one else likes him and no one respects him. And then when he has that Christmas party and the other higher ups at this toy company basically say, well, it's kind of up to all the employees to buy toys. We're only going to donate a certain amount, undisclosed amount. That's not up for us to decide, even though there's so many kids that you could use these presents, and it's not going to hurt this company's bottom dollar anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. This is very it's a very like most of the best Christmas movies. It's a very anti-capitalist movie.
Yeah.
It's not on the side of the higher ups in the toy company at all. One of my favorite sequences in this is right after that party where he just decides, screw it, and he takes all the toys and he just donates all the toys that he has on the line currently to the hospital, no questions asked. I kind of dig how it comments on the capitalism of it, and at the same time is not about that at all. It's kind of seasoning. It's little things.
Yeah. It's also interesting, is Harry a bad guy?
Yeah, it toys around with that. That brings up that
question, yeah. Because in that, I don't think Harry's a bad guy. I think Harry is someone who has many issues. A lot of them stemming from
he needs psychiatric help.
He needs to see a therapist. I mean, and that's would probably help him a whole bunch. He has a lot of things he's trying to work through. He skips out on seeing his only family that he has, which is his brother, his brother's wife, and his two nephews. He skips out on seeing them because he sees Santa Claus is going to be in the Thanksgiving Day parade. That's how much this guy is obsessed with Santa Claus. And the idea of missing Santa Claus on TV that day, he can't function then. He wouldn't be able to function if he didn't see Santa Claus on TV that day.
Yeah. Yeah.
But does that make him a bad person? No, that makes him a person who has issues that need to be resolved and worked out. And as we see later on, especially with kids, he is perfectly fine and normal.
Yeah.
He's giving them all presents. It's creepy, but he pays attention to the kids and how they're interacting and gives them advice, especially later on in the movie. He's at another Christmas party that he gets invited to when he's dressed up as Santa. And leaves the kids with a message of listen to your parents, listen to your teachers, do good things. And if you don't, I'm going to give you something really bad in return.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an ominous message, but it's also a well-intended message.
Yeah. He I'm gonna maybe alienate some people by saying this. He doesn't kill anybody in this movie that doesn't kind of deserve it. You know, in a sense.
Yeah, well, I don't think any of them deserve it.
Well, maybe not deserve killing, but like, okay,
they deserve a punishment.
Yes,
some sort of.
He doesn't kill anyone who has not in turn also done something wrong.
Yes.
He just has a very sick sense of justice.
Yeah.
And punishment. So okay, yes. Whatever. I said that wrong to begin with.
Again, it goes into a psyche of like he doesn't know how to talk to people and interact with people.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to. Again, none of the people. All of these things could have been resolved with a conversation between him and whoever wronged him, between him and his boss, between him and his coworker, between him and the random guy he meets outside the church and stabs in the eye. Conversation.
Right.
Instead, he's like, "No, I'm going to kill these people." Complete extremes.
Yeah. It's just someone like he clearly hasn't had anyone who has taught him any valuable social skills. Mm-hmm. Like, I guess mom and dad were too busy
role playing
69
and
yeah. But like, yeah, it's a sad movie because like you follow this character who throughout, like, I'd say 75% of his actions, while sometimes a little socially awkward, are coming from a good place. It's just there's that 25% where like his twisted sense of like of right and wrong kicks in and he overcorrects. And so by the end of this movie, like it's a little bit like the end when the mob happens and like they have the pitchforks and they're like they've got the torches. It's very reminiscent of like Frankenstein from 1931, where you actually are like, oh God, like I know that he's done not great things, but like he doesn't need fire. He just needs a little help. Like, oh God, just have some Christmas empathy, you know? And I don't know.
I was looking up an interview Lewis Jackson, the director, did about this movie, and he brought up Frankenstein. He's like, movie's it's not Halloween. It's not. I wasn't trying to rip off John Carpenter and do a Christmas version of Halloween. He's like, I was making a Frankenstein's monster movie with Santa Claus.
Oh God,
and that makes this movie make so much sense. And yeah, like you said, especially in that third act. Again, one of my favorite parts. I love the mob chase sequence where finally the townspeople figure out it's this one Santa Claus and we need to get him before he gets our children, even though this Santa Claus has been nothing but great to all the children. Has given them all toys or has given them a lesson on why you need to be better so you can get toys.
Or in the case of the kid who just wants a Penthouse magazine, a sack full of dirt.
Yeah. Also, so there's the sequence where he's like watching that kid with the kid who wants the Penthouse magazine, where he like puts his handprints on the wall and kisses it too. I don't understand that.
It's weird. It's really weird. I don't either. I thought that was kind of strange too. Because they focus on like the stuff he left behind at the end, and you almost think it's like, oh, maybe the mom's gonna see it and notice something's up, but then it just never goes back to it.
Like it's supposed to look like a reindeer. Like I don't know what.
Oh, maybe that's what it is.
Like Santa was here.
Yeah, I guess.
It's like his zodiac sign, but it's
it's his zodiac sign.
If he did it on more houses, it would make sense, but he only does it one time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the only bad kid, though.
that we see in the movie. Yeah, we
that
maybe
we
could
see in the
use some more
movie.
bad
Yeah.
kids that he
Yeah.
could leave his reindeer sign on.
Well, and that's one thing that I liked about that scene is like the movie kind of sets it up as like a tension based, like, oh God, what's he gonna do to the naughty kid? You know, the movie's called Christmas Evil. Like you're like, I've seen 80s movies where they just kill kids. Like it happens, right? And so the whole time I was just expecting him to like, you know, kill a kid who just, you know, wanted a little bit of penthouse. And so
and all he does to the kid is just scare him, literally just scare him. Like, I'm hiding in the bushes and boo. Like,
yeah, he scares him and then he leaves him a bag of dirt. That's it. That's the extent of it. And I don't know. I think that's kind of brilliant, actually. That's a brilliant move on this movie's part.
All right, I want to talk about the ending. Let's get to the ending of this movie and our interpretations. The ending of this movie is bonkers, insane, crazy of Christmas Evil. It comes out of nowhere. First time I watched it, I literally threw my hands up in the air of like, oh my God, I love this ending. What is your thoughts on the ending and what is your interpretation of the ending?
My interpretation is just what the movie gives me is like, okay, so he just flies off into the night. He is Santa now? Like, what?
So Harry, as he's dressed as Santa, has like this old creeper van that he's painted to have Santa's sleigh on the back, on the side of the van. And that's what he's been driving around this entire time while he's on his murderous killing spree. And at the end of the movie, the mob chases him and he eventually like drives off a cliff, and his Santa's sleigh takes off and flies towards the moon. It basically says this, the Santa line of Merry Christmas to all
and to all a good night.
To all a good night. Yeah.
And
that's how the movie ends.
Yeah. It's so weird. And like
incredible.
his brother who's been chasing him down, trying to save him or whatever, is just like looking up in awe. And it's just like, so my interpretation of the movie is that he became Santa Claus and flew off into the night because that's what
the movie says. Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's an insane ending. I love it. I love the ending. I think it's incredible. I think it's maybe the best part of the whole thing. But I don't know. It's weird. It's weird.
Yeah, my interpretation is the same as you. He actually got turned into Santa Claus, and that's his sleigh, and he then becomes Santa Claus in every Coca-Cola commercial since 1980.
And Santa Claus is going to show up on your roof in a van, in a panel van painted with a sled.
He's not getting down that fireplace though. We saw this Santa. He can't get down there.
No, definitely not.
Buddy John Barnes chiming in here. I think he is so oh my gosh, what is that word?
Ensconced.
I've never heard that. Okay. I learned something new tonight. Thank you, John. And the Santa persona that we are seeing what is going on in his mind. And even if he got put in jail, that would be his toy factory. So basically all that was in his mind, and it's in his interpretation of what happened by the end of the night. Yeah, that's 100% what happened. It's Harry's interpretation again. Like the beginning of the movie, he believed that the real life Santa Claus came down his chimney that night to give him and his brother a present and his mom a certain kind of present too. At the end of the movie, he
presents for everyone.
I think he drove off the cliff and died. Like that's what I think happened.
No, I believe.
You believe
he's Santa.
Well, I did too, but in terms of logistics, I think he drove off that cliff and that was like his final thoughts.
It's people like you that are the reason that Santa has to put bags of dirt on doorsteps.
And can't get down chimneys, yeah.
Yeah. If you believe a little harder, he'd be able to get down the chimney, Casey.
And smothers people with his toy sack, yeah.
God, oh, that scene is so great. I love how, like, that wife is the deepest sleeper. That wife is the deepest sleeper. Yeah. Oh, my God.
I know we jumped the gun.
Your husband's getting murdered right next to you, and you're just like...
We jumped the gun to the end, but we should touch on the kill sequences, I guess. That's a great... I think there's... All the kill sequences are pretty great.
We got a great comment from John.
Yeah. John bringing up, I would be pissed if I got the toys his factory made. Yeah, those were some
100%. They're terrible toys.
Like a shitty one color of paint motorcyclist with his like head missing.
I've seen Happy Meal toys that looked better constructed than those.
Yeah. At least Happy Meal toys have like pull strings that you can actually make the motorcycle move. This looked like super stationary, and all you could do was take him on and off the motorcycle. Awful toys.
Yep.
I believe Harry, in his management position that he was entitled to, would make better toys than that. I think that was something he would have pushed for. Yeah, the kill sequences though in this movie are incredible. Like getting smothered while the guy's like sleeping next to his wife. Incredible. My favorite one is the toy soldier like to the eye outside of the church.
Oh God. Yeah.
And then like him just pulling out an axe and just murdering people there.
Yeah. It's so brazen, and it seemingly comes out of nowhere. Like, it's been building towards this, but it's just so shocking that he does it in full view of like many people. Like, he does it in front of a crowd and then just gets in his van and drives away. Like,
I feel like Tim Burton ripped that scene off in his Batman movie.
Yeah,
the Joker does like the exact same thing, like on steps in front of all these people and just leaves.
Tim Burton is a Christmas Evil fan, confirmed.
He probably watched it as Better Watch Out though. So Tim Burton is a Better Watch Out fan.
Yep. But not the new bad one.
I like that one. But I know you do. I know you do. That's why I didn't pick that one. I picked this killer.
I'm glad you didn't pick that one. I will cover that one with you again if you want me to, but
8 years down the road we'll do another Christmas.
I was about to say I won't be very glowing on that one. Yeah. I don't think. Unless a rewatch really works for me. I don't know.
What about this one? How many reindeer are you giving Christmas Evil?
I gave Christmas Evil 3 reindeer out of 5 possible reindeer. I liked it. I didn't love it. I think that at times it's a little too slow for its own good. But God, the lead performance is incredible. I love the ending.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's weird as hell, but I admire any movie that just in its final moments is like, screw it, let's take a big swing and see if it lands. Even if it doesn't land, I'm gonna appreciate it,
I think, again, like I said, I gave this movie 3.5 reindeer out of 5. We cut a reindeer in half for this one. I think the bookends of this movie, the beginning with him as a boy and then him at the end flying off as Santa Claus, perfect bookends of his warped mind and his warped fascination of Santa Claus. And I think it's perfect for this movie. Every time I watch it, this movie gets a little bit better every single time. I think the ending lands for me every time I watch it. I think it's just an incredible ending that tonally fits with this. Again, like we said, this movie is very grounded for 90 minutes, and all of a sudden, the last 30 seconds is him in his van flying off into the night sky, saying to all, "Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night." Like, but it tonally works with the rest of the movie. Highly recommend Christmas Evil.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think, hot take, Black Christmas is the greatest Christmas horror movie of all time.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yep. I think more people need to talk about Christmas Evil in that same category. Bob Clark is number 1. I think this is right in that top 5.
At the very least, this should be brought up in conversations before Silent Night, Deadly Night.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Should we go on to our next Killer Claus movie? That's a great title. Someone should make that movie.
Killer Claus.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is one. So you picked Christmas Evil, and I picked Joe Bagos. It's like freaking masterpiece. Christmas Bloody Christmas. This came out last year. I think I've already seen it like 4 or 5 times. I watched this one a lot. Casey, I know you like this one too.
This, I can't remember if it was my favorite horror movie of last year. It was at least top 2 or 3.
It was in my top 5 for sure. Yeah.
I first time I watched it when it came on Shudder last Christmas. Gave it 4.5 stars. I loved this movie right away. I'm a huge Joe Bagos fan. I love his work. Bliss is incredible. I love VFW. I can't wait to see what this guy does. He just understands horror, and and this is the perfect encapsulation of that punk rock attitude that he brings to the genre. Joe Bagos has this interview on Charlie Band's Full Moon Freak Show podcast, and I think it might be my favorite episode of that show.
It's such a good interview.
It's so good, and it breaks this movie down, Christmas Bloody Christmas especially, on how he shot it on film, how long it took him to shoot on film, what type of budget that they had, why it was important for Joe to shoot on film as he does with all of his movies. And this movie just has, like I said, that punk rock attitude where it's shot on film. It's grainy. It has like my office right now. It just has green and red in every scene, every shot of this movie. It's incredible. Our leads, we got to talk about this. Because the internet hates them for some reason.
I don't get it. I do not get it.
We don't understand that. We do not understand it. So this movie, Christmas Bloody Christmas, came out last year. It's on Shudder right now. Written and directed by Joe Bagos. It is about this record store owner, played by Riley Dandy. She plays Tori. She owns this record store, and I think a smaller town. It's definitely a small town.
It's a small town. Yeah,
it's a small town. It's set on Christmas Eve, and one of her friends runs a toy store just down the street from her. And in that toy store is an animatronic Santa Claus that apparently has a military microchip in it and just becomes evil.
It's military grade robotics.
Yeah, and it becomes evil.
That they repurposed.
There's no reason it becomes evil either.
No.
It just is. And I love that about this movie. It's just evil. It's an evil killer robotic Santa Claus. That's all you need.
The opening with all the commercials setting it up too is like, it's so funny. There's like wildly inappropriate children's toy commercial, like a few other like kind of 80s throwback kind of gags.
A preview of a different like slasher movie.
Yeah. And then they go into this like robotic technology, your animatronic Santa in a store near you, and then they switch to news, and a newscaster's going like, these Santas have been recalled, and like and that's just how the movie opens.
Yep.
And then you're just thrown into these two characters essentially like just living their daily lives in the lead up to Christmas.
Yeah. The two leads in this movie, Tori and Robbie, they're two of my favorite horror characters ever.
They're so good. They're so good.
They're so relatable.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I picked up on the first time I watched this movie, of how relatable these two leads are, because most of the conversations that they have in this movie I've had before.
I mean, we've had a lot of fun.
I was going to say, you and I have had them. We've probably recorded those conversations on this podcast. Because they're debating like the best like Christmas songs ever. They're debating which bands continued to be great, which ones did not, which ones why Metallica is not as good as they once used to be, which version of Van Halen is better.
One of them has a theory that the shorter the haircut, the worse the music gets.
Yes.
Like it's incredible. And like, sure, does it go on for a while before the Santa even comes to life and starts killing people? Yes. But to me, like,
I want that whole movie. I want the whole movie of these two work. I want a prequel where it's just a day in the record store with these two.
I would watch Clerks with just these two.
Yes.
Yeah.
About why Pet Sematary 2 is better than the first Pet Sematary, or why Blair Witch 2 Book of Shadows is better than the first one. I would watch an entire movie on just these two characters hanging out in that record store. One, the set for that record store is incredible. I love it.
Yes.
It's just neon drenched. I wouldn't be able to shop in there. You can't see anything.
But they've got Lemmy as God spray painted in black light paint on the wall.
They sell VHS tapes. They sell records. It seems like the perfect store.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's like it's a little like it's one of those movies where watching it is almost a little bit of wish fulfillment too, because it's like, I just want to spend time in this record store. I want to
Yeah.
spend time with these people. It's the same thing. It's the same vibe that I get when I watch The Dead Don't Die, which I know you don't care for, but Caleb Landry Jones's shop in that movie, every time I watch that, I'm like, I want that shop.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to be the guy that runs that shop. It's so cool. And like, that's how I feel going into this movie is like, it's just a vibe. Like, I want to hang out here
Yeah.
and I want to hang out with these characters. And do they say fuck too much? Oh my God. Yes, they do. But guess who else does that? Us.
Literally any horror punk rock
Yeah.
fan does. And
Yeah.
it's ridiculous that that's a gripe of this movie, especially like you have Tarantino doing it in every movie just as many times.
Every movie.
And no one complains about that.
One of my favorite movies of all time, Christine. They were worried about an like not getting an R rating, so they just put fuck every other word of the script. Like, and no one complains about that.
Yeah. It's a ridiculous thing, especially for a horror movie, that the characters in this horror movie say fuck too many times. It's a ridiculous ideology.
It feels like one of those one person nitpicked it on Twitter and then the whole like online culture just like amoebaed around it. It was like, oh, they say fuck too much.
It's the one person who still hates Blair Witch 2 Book of Shadows, and they're like, I can't believe they liked this movie and that the filmmaker was endorsing it. It's like, oh my God, get over it. Anyway, we love these characters. They're incredible. Again, I talk about giving this movie 4.5 stars. I know you gave it a 5 this time.
I did. I bumped it up. I couldn't help it.
I will say the one thing that knocks it off a half star for me, they kill Robbie too early. It's an emotional gut punch when he dies. So we'll go through all these death scenes, but that's my biggest thing is I wish we had more time with these characters because I love them together so much. And I think there's more interactions that we could have got with them. So anyway, we're on the night of Christmas Eve and we have Robbie and Tori. They work at this record store together. She's his boss. And he basically convinces her, instead of going out on this Tinder date with this dad of 4, let's just go to the bar and get drunk and see what happens. He's apparently been trying to get with her for a while, and she's been pushing it off forever.
Yeah.
They end up at a toy store right down the street owned by one of her friends, where the killer Santa Claus is. The couple in that toy store get into some real kinky stuff with Santa Claus they're watching. They're the first to go in an incredible fashion.
Oh God, it is. I love that sequence.
It's an incredible sequence. All the kill sequencers are pretty incredible in this movie, especially for a low budget feature film like this.
Well, and the best part about like the couple in the toy store getting killed is when it cuts to outside and Tori and Robbie are walking down the street and they hear like the screaming. And it's like that classic trope of like they just kind of pass it off as like a
yeah
they're just having fun, like wow, haha, you know. And it's a trope, it's overused, but every time it happens it's still funny. And I don't know, I love them cheering them on while they're just getting like brutally murdered. I don't know. It's the simple things in life, man. This movie does not reinvent the slasher wheel by any means. Like I describe this movie as Santa Terminator on roids because that's what it is.
It is, but then here's the thing that I think for both of us sets it apart from movies like that is the characters.
Yes,
and that we spend the first 30-40 minutes of this movie with them. And you fall in love with them. So when comes time for Killer Robot Santa to go after them, you're like, oh no, get away, because you guys need to talk more about, for some reason, why Freddy's Dead is the best Nightmare on Elm Street movie, which is an insane take and not true at all. But I need more of why. I need to hear why you think Freddy's Dead is better.
Yes.
But yeah, these characters are so much fun. And there's a scene when they're in the bar, and it's kind of like I don't know, these two characters, again, they already have a connection with each other, but finding more of a connection because they're spending Christmas Eve together alone at a bar by themselves. Then the sheriff shows up.
Yeah.
Sheriff
Jeff
Buzzkill.
Daniel Phillips.
Jeff Daniel Phillips, love him. He's incredible.
Yep. Herman Munster himself.
Herman Munster just shows up, and he's a complete buzzkill on the night for these two. And that's where I want more Robbie, because
cops usually are.
Yeah. And hey, he at least bought their drinks. I'll give him
Jeff Daniel Phillips is actually one of the cooler horror movie cops, I feel like, even if he's a little bit of a buzzkill.
Yeah. He's still a buzzkill, but once you like explain something to him, he becomes less of a buzzkill, especially later on in the movie where he's like just arresting her. Yeah. He's doing his job right there. And he's like, yeah, he's a dick, because we as an audience know what happened. Him as a cop in that moment, seeing a girl covered in blood driving the cop car, it's like, yeah, you arrest her on the spot.
Yeah, 100%.
So there's history between, I'm just going to call him Sheriff Buzzkill and Robbie. And we don't really get that explored besides that one scene in the bar. And that's where I wish Robbie stayed alive. I don't know. He still could have died maybe in the third act of this movie. But that's where I wanted a little more, because where Tori ends up in this movie, she ends up teaming up with the sheriff.
Yep.
About halfway through the movie. And I would have liked to seen that dynamic a little more.
Yeah. Because you're right.
It's a half star, because I still think it's great what they do, but it's the fact that I like the Robbie character and I wanted to see more of him.
Yeah. I agree that his death maybe comes a little like prematurely, but I also, at the same time,
not the only thing that comes prematurely in this movie.
Yeah. Hey-o. At the same time, I admire it for
killing him off right away.
Yeah, it's a genuinely shocking moment. It's like, especially like he gets through the house, like he gets out of the house. Yeah. You know, like you don't even know if anybody's gonna get out of the house. He gets out of the house. You think we're good, and then he gets thrown out of the car and axed into the grill. And it's just like, holy shit. Like, and it's brutal. Like you've got Tori trying to like, just, pleading with him to get up and get moving, and he can't. And it's just, it's not enough to get me to like tear up or cry, but it's about as close as you can get before tipping into that arena. You know what I mean?
Same here. Every time that happens, I'm like, nah, that sucks. I liked him.
Yeah.
And it's not very often you have that in a slasher movie where it's like, oh, I liked him. I wish he would have gotten away.
Yeah.
Most other times
he's got a terrible haircut, but he's a great guy.
Hey, I liked his haircut.
No, I did too, actually.
It's his facial hair. He needed a full beard or just the mustache. Decide on one or the other, dude.
Yeah. None of this goatee garbage.
She liked his goatee garbage, though. That's for sure.
She did. She liked it a lot. In the best scene of the movie.
It's the best scene of the movie. It comes down to the characters that we already like.
Yep.
Comes down to, we don't often see this in movies.
Yes.
We got to see it in two movies that we talked about today, though.
Yeah.
Comes down to the editing and the music.
Yes. And the practical effect that caps it all off.
Yeah, and it's because the scene is like these two are finally hooking up in her house. Robbie and Tori are. He's going down on her, is the scene. But in the house across the street is where Robot Killer Santa is, and he's going after this family, specifically the dad.
Yeah.
And stabs him in the back and is going after him. And the big climax of the scene is the dad's head gets curb stomped into the
steps.
Yeah.
Yeah. As the
also
other climax happens.
Yeah, she climaxes in the other scene. Yeah. They get it.
Just beautifully orchestrated scene. It's just, and it's God, it's one of those like it's one of the best examples of mixing like sexuality and violence to a very uneasy effect.
Yes.
Like because you're like it's a very like it's a sexy scene. Like but it's being intercut with this guy like
getting his
climbing for
smacked.
his life up the stairs with an axe sticking out of his back and then just getting annihilated by a robot Santa boot. And
with
like
this like punk rock soundtrack underneath. It's
yeah,
incredible.
like this grimy, like grungy punk stuff. Oh god, the score in this movie is incredible. It's yeah. The whole aesthetic of this movie is just it's on a different level.
It's one of the most punk rock movies I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, yeah. It
and as someone
feels,
who loves punk rock, this like if this was scored to a Ramones album, it would fit perfect.
It would work. Yeah, it would 100% work. It really feels like a Rob Zombie movie, but with a punk rock aesthetic instead of the like hellbilly aesthetic that he always has, you know?
And that's 100% the vibe Joe Bagos has in all of his movies.
Yeah. And I don't know. I would love to this might be a weird thing, but like I kind of want to see what a Rob Zombie produced Joe Bagos movie. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Don't tempt me with a good time. Yeah.
Oh God. I'd love to see those two like like team up and do something like huge. I don't know. It'd be great.
Yeah, because Joe Bagos, he feels like if Rob Zombie didn't make music and went straight into movies.
Yeah.
That's what Joe Bagos feels like. He doesn't have the music aesthetic. He's not a like famous musician who got money to make studio movies early on. He just went straight into I'm going to make punk rock indie horror films, which Rob later got into. Yeah, those two have a very similar vibes and tones. Probably a disservice to people who hate Rob Zombie for some reason.
Yeah, but I don't get those people.
We love Rob Zombie on this show.
We love Rob Zombie on this show.
Yeah.
And if you're on this show, you have to love Rob Zombie for at least 2 hours with us.
Damn straight. So this movie, again, super low budget, indie, shot on film. It looks incredible. There's like 3 car explosions in this movie.
Yeah, there's
cars getting flipped over and ambulances driving into things. Bagos goes all out in this movie.
I mean, at one point, Tori literally turns an ambulance into a Molotov cocktail. Like,
yeah, so in the second half of this movie, she's basically the only one left.
Yeah,
like
probably in this like whole town, right? Like, no one else in this town is alive.
They're either not alive or they're oblivious to like explosions happening on Main Street.
Right.
And so the cops get killed by Robot Santa, the sheriff and not
all the dipshit deputies. Yeah.
Deputy dipshit. And they get killed. So she ends up like on this one-on-one sequence with Killer Robot Santa for what, 45 minutes of this movie?
Oh God. It is minutes? The longest final battle because
it starts in the police station and she gets to tase the Killer Robot Santa.
Yeah,
she ends up driving away and we get a like mini chase sequence in this movie in the ambulance.
Oh God, yeah,
with Robot Santa in the back trying to get in,
attacking from behind.
She crashes the ambulance. He goes flying out of it. Still not dead.
Nope. She pins him with a car.
Yep.
Then lights a rag on fire and sticks it down the gas tank. Blows the whole thing up. Runs into a record store. And then the Santa comes out of the flames and keeps coming at her. And like, I mean, she gets annihilated in this final battle too. Like that she gets like
her fingers
chopped off. Like she doesn't have fingers on her right hand. She breaks her leg. Like,
and the Santa goes through hell too. Like in her trying to stop it. Like she has to turn on the sprinklers in the record store.
Yeah,
She
he's
stabs
barely
it
even standing
with
up.
a sword.
Yeah.
An
Oh, the
actual
sword
sword.
thing. It's so cool. The sword is incredible.
Yeah.
I it's almost like Joe Bag like it's almost like Joe Bagos saw the internet talking about Child's Play and how like, oh, Chucky just comes back to life too many times, and he was like, hold
Bet.
my beer.
Bet.
And he just because that's what this feels like. It feels like the third act of Terminator on roids, or the third act of Child's Play on roids, where like it's another unkillable machine, but this one, like, he somehow makes it feel even more unkillable than what we have seen in movies thus far. Like, there is, even after she has killed this robot Santa, like, credits roll, and I'm still like, no.
He's getting up.
30 seconds later, his eyes blink back on and he fucking kills her. Like, that's how persistent and terrifying this Robo Santa is.
Or all the other Robo Santas come to this town.
Oh my
And
god.
there's an army of Robo Santas coming down the main street.
Okay, so I know that some filmmakers have aversions to sequels, but I would take a sequel to this movie. Oh god, it could just literally be Tori. Give Begos like a huge budget and have Tori be like spearheading the military recon of all these Robo Santas.
Terminator 2, but with Tori.
Yeah,
Versus
exactly.
Killer Santa. Yeah. I don't need a sequel to this. I think he does perfect jobs of just standing alone. I cannot wait to see what he does next, though.
Oh my god,
because he just knocks it out of the park every single time and gets better and better. Yeah, someone give this guy money or just keep doing what you're doing.
I was about to say, I just keep letting him make movies at this level because he's clearly able to do things with these smaller budgets. Like, this movie looks, sounds, it like the pacing is just.
I remember on that podcast he did with Charlie Band that he owns all his own film equipment, like the cameras that they use for this, and just buys the actual film that they use.
Yep, which is so cool.
Yeah, it's the most punk rock thing you can do. Like, I'm just literally
gonna buy all of this.
Fund my own film. Literally fund my own film.
God, yeah.
Yeah. Begos rules.
Begos rules. Yeah.
Joe, if you're listening and you want to come on and talk about Bliss or VFW or Christmas Bloody Christmas or whatever the hell you're doing next.
Yeah.
Please come on.
Oh my God. Please.
And
we have so many questions. We could pick your brain for the amount of time that you would give us. I was going to go like for hours, but I don't want to scare
Take Charlie Band's offer of making a full moon movie for nothing too. I want to see.
Ooh, yeah.
I want to see your version of Doll Man. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Joe Begos is Doll Man. Anyway, Christmas Bloody Christmas. How many slaughtered reindeer do you give this one?
It's like a 5 slaughtered reindeer out of 5 for me. This movie, like I said, I think I've seen it 4 or 5 times since it came out last year. And it doesn't get old. Like, I almost didn't even rewatch it before this episode because I just watched it like a month ago. But I was like, nah, I'm gonna watch it again, and I did, and I was just like, no, this movie's incredible. It's a modern classic, and I think that in 30 years, this is legitimately going to be up there with like Black Christmas as one of the best holiday slashers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about you? Final thoughts?
Like I said, I gave this one 4.5, and it's just because I want more time with characters. I'm selfish as a film goer on this movie. I wanted more time with Robbie and Tori together and seeing their dynamic together. Yeah, this movie's incredible. Like I said, it was in at least my top 3 if not my favorite of last year. I loved this movie, and for a Christmas horror movie to be that, not just like, oh my God, I love this as a Christmas horror movie. I love this as a horror movie.
Yeah,
it's incredible, and being one of my favorites of the year. Love this movie. Cannot recommend this movie enough.
Hell yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we're gonna wrap things up then. We got our slasher Santas out of the way. We got to Christmas Evil. We got to Christmas Bloody Christmas. Please let us know out there, people listening, what your thoughts are on both of these movies. Do you like Christmas Evil? Do you like the ending? What is your interpretation? Why do people hate the dialogue and the characters in Christmas Bloody Christmas? Please leave a comment and just let us know your thoughts on both of these movies. Sam, where can they leave us a comment?
You can leave us a comment on YouTube, where we have our show bi-weekly, our main show bi-weekly, and we'll keep doing some interviews so that we're hopefully getting new content each and every week.
Mm-hmm.
You can also subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, pretty much anywhere you get your podcasts. And you can also follow us on all the socials: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok.
Yeah.
We've been posting TikToks. I need to post another one soon. I actually have an idea for one that I'm gonna do really quick, or like really soon. So, like, I don't know. Watch our dumb faces do stupid rankings and TikTok trends and shit. Yeah.
You might even see us dancing on there someday. I don't know.
You might. You probably will see me dancing on there sooner rather than later, because I dance a lot in general.
Film it.
I'm gonna film it. I'm gonna film it. I'm gonna sell my soul for your sweet likes and views.
So be on the lookout for Sam doing his Buffalo Bill dance in his room at some point.
Yes, absolutely.
Last two things here we got to plug. We got to plug our TeePublic store. You can check us out there. Just search Screams from the Basement. Sam is repping our classic logo right there that he designed himself. Sam is wearing his own design on his own t-shirt from his own merch store. How cool is that? You can get yours now. teepublic.com. Just search Screams from the Basement, and we have a link in all of our descriptions.
Yeah, and there's been a ton of sales because it's December, so you might get some sweet discounts this month if you check it out.
Exactly. And the last thing we got to plug,
Speaking
once again, we plugged it at the top of the show.
discounts.
We'll do it again here. You can go to shop.fangoria.com/screams from the basement. That's shop.fangoria.com/screams from the basement. Use discount code screams from the basement to get 20% off anything and everything on the Fangoria website, including an annual subscription to the Fangoria magazine.
Yes.
All
Casey,
right.
this was such a fun episode. This was a great holiday special.
This was a great holiday special. We want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, a Happy Holidays. However you celebrate it, do so by watching more horror movies. Next time you will see us, we have an interview coming out the following week from when this drops on our podcast feed. We are chatting with another full moon filmmaker. I'm so excited for this. We're chatting with the one and only Danny Draven about Bad CGI Gator, which is streaming right now on the Full Moon app. So go check that out before you check out our interview. We talk about his entire Full Moon catalog of films that he's worked on, including Ouija's. We talked about that for quite a bit on that interview as well.
Yeah.
So that'll drop next week. And then next time you see our ugly faces together on this show, we're doing our ranking of the best horror films of 2023.
Okay, I would like to say, though.
Uh-oh.
I'm going favorite, not best. If I go best, my favorites aren't going to end up on the list.
Our best. This is our list. It's not like this is the best movie of the year. No. It's Sam's top 10, my top 10. We're doing a big episode next time, so be on the lookout for that in 2 weeks.
If you listen to the show, you already know we have different tastes.
Yeah, we do.
I think both of our lists are going to ruffle feathers, maybe even each other's feathers. Who knows?
All I can say is, as we wrap this up and say a Happy New Year's to everyone, be on the lookout for maybe some Talk to Me. I'm just kidding. We're not going to have that movie on there. We're going to be the only horror podcast that will not have that movie on our list, because we'll talk about that here in 2024 when we do that episode. Sam, give us that sign off before we tap out on 2023.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And sweet scream.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.